What up, what up? Happy Saturday. Oh, my chair doesn't want to work with me. All right, let me make sure we're good to go here. Guys, if everybody can see my screen, let me know. Today's Saturday, baby. We are out here. All right, can you guys, let me make sure you guys, I'm actually live on YouTube right now. Is that me? Yeah? This is interesting. It's myself watching myself. Well, guys, you can see that we're newer to the YouTube. So, all right, got it. Boom. Perfect. All right, so here we go. Welcome, happy Saturday. We're gonna be reviewing a few deals. One is a deal that we just actually got the deed for last night, and it's a brand new deal with a JV in Miami, which is the house that's staring at you right there. 18400 Northeast 7th Court, excuse me. In North Miami Fun. I actually think this is going to be a great deal. I might end up keeping this deal. I actually think this is going to be a great deal. I might end up keeping this deal and buying out the JV at a fair price because I just love the rental. I love the debt that they have on it, the owner, and it's pretty good debt, man. It's pretty good debt. I think it'll cash flow very nicely, and yeah, we'll get into it. After that, I'm going to be going into the auction list, a couple different auction counties in Florida, and I'm going to show you how to build an extremely fast, very motivated, free list of what properties you can go after, like literally right now, today, okay? And I'm just going to underwrite them real quick, show you what I look for, show you why I'm picking this deal, show you good ones, bad ones. They're going to be live, so I don't know whether they're good or bad. We're going to find out about it together. But whether they have equity, whether they don't have equity, etc., any other issues that I foresee. So if anybody, like always, man, if anybody has any deals, any addresses, post them right here, right now. That QR code, if you take a picture of it, you can actually submit your deals, and they'll be either on this live or the next live. We're going to be going live literally every single day, and we're going to be reviewing deals live along with the seller calls as well. Sometimes I may do the seller calls live. That's a little bit more out of my control because sometimes the sellers answer, sometimes they don't. But most importantly, it's teaching you how to build a quick list using real flow, tax auction list, county records, etc. 1, 2, how to underwrite them the way that I underwrite them, and 3, how to turn dead leads into profit. Okay, these are real deals with real addresses. I hold no punches. It's all transparent. We're not messing around here. Okay, this is called reverse flip. That's how we turn dead leads into deeds, as we like to say. I got my all hustle no luck hat today, so it's a good day, baby. I got the little corduroy. Who remembers corduroy as a kid? See, and then you get the green on the bottom. Ooh, see, the green matches the shirt. What up, Antonio? All right, so here we go. What list was this property on? Why the heck did a seller sign over their deed to their house for $0 up front and $15,000 on the back end? Well, we're about to get into it. Number one, it's because their problem, can't really see me on this angle, but their problem is so big that they have no choice. And what is that massive problem? Well, the massive problem is a $1.2 million IRS tax lien, baby. That's right. These sellers have not paid taxes since 2005 or 2006, I think. We're actually going to pull up their tax bills. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how that's recorded on county. Obviously, let's go through some numbers here, okay? Just from the deal. These sellers have debt right now, so let's start by writing this down, all right? So there's your address. let's get all the facts of the deal. So the debt is 440,000 plus or minus. Okay, so 440 is the debt on this house. And I'm going to run all this in real time with you, but the ARV is 750. So just looking at that right there, you got to ask yourself and say, well, I mean, that seems like a deal to me, right? You have debt of 440 to the ARV of 750. I mean, guys, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that this deal has a lot of equity, right? Everybody's seeing $310,000 worth of equity on that with me. Cool. Now here's where the fun part starts. This deal has some liens, some violations, and of course, that IRS tax lien of 1.2 million. So we're going to write down right here next to it, liens, IRS, 1,200,000. Okay? It's a big number. Obviously, that kills the deal right there, right? Correct. 99.999% of wholesalers have looked at this deal. This deal has actually been listed on the MLS. I think it actually still might be listed on the MLS, even though that was a mistake of the realtor. It'll come off, but no one's bought this deal. There's a reason. These deals are out there in your marketplaces, and you guys are just flying right over it, and everyone's drowning over, oh my God, I can't find opportunity, I can't find deals, no. Guys, there's deals out there all the time. You just got to look at them through a different little lens, all right? So, let's get into this. First things first, let me bring up my mic. First things first. Antonio, can you hear me good or well, if that's proper English? Well, can you hear me well? Because I would like to make sure. The problem is typing here with the mouse, or with the mic. Cool. All right, let's dive into this. All right, we're gonna use Real Flow as well. We're gonna type that in, and then we're gonna look everything up. All right. So, yeah, it is listed on the MLS. It's pending. So let's just go right into the pictures. Right, Real Flow actually is connected to the MLS, which is pretty dope. Let's look at these pictures. Okay, this house is not destroyed by any means. Okay, there's a family living inside of it. These are public pictures. Is the house dated? Absolutely. Right, it does need some work. Okay, this is like a weird master bedroom add-on. I can just tell this is not the original part of the house, just because I know this area. All right, right here, guys, I'm gonna break everything down for you. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking as I'm looking through these pictures. Right here, this bathroom is not a legal bathroom. There's just no way. Why? I've been doing this too long, but it looks funky to me. The shower is this big. It's off in a corner next to a cabinet. The walls are not 5x7, which is the legal requirement. The toilet is right next to the shower door. The toilet is 2 inches from the sink, and the door opens inward and probably hits the toilet by the look of that picture. Does everybody see that? Everybody understand this is not a legal bathroom? Cool. Meaning that they added it on. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just telling you, you got to pay attention to this stuff. Here's an outdoor bar or something. Okay, here's another point. All right. It's very interesting. You can see that there's additions here in the house, but look at the pool. The pool is to the house itself. I mean, if I walk outside from the backyard door, I might fall into this pool. Okay, so maybe the pool has permits, maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure. Okay, typical Miami stuff though. I'll tell you that right now. All right, so it's got like a nice little backyard. All right, so let's talk about this big wall here. Right, these people didn't build a castle. There's a reason why there's a wall here. This is the biggest comp downgrade that you're gonna have. This is also known as obsolescence. What the hell is obsolescence? Obsolescence is Latin for something that's going to bring down the property value negatively. What is an obsolescence? That is a blast wall. I-95 is on the other side. That is obsolescence, meaning your backyard is I-95. It's a highway. Another form of obsolescence is a cemetery. Another form of obsolescence is being right next to a school. Another form of obsolescence might be being next to the water treatment plant, right? The electrical plant. Like, who wants to live next to these things, right? So these kinds of things are hard to adjust for value. There's no percentage. Will, how much percentage do you take off if it's, if it's obsolescent? Dude, there's no formula for that. You have to try to find a comp that's on the same side with the same obsolescence. If you can't find that, it's kind of going to be a little bit of your best guess, all right? What up, Robinson? I see Robinson here. This is actually his deal. What up, buddy? Great job on this. This is the front of the house, right? Windows look okay. Everything looks cool, right? So what I'm picking up from this, see the blast wall here? This is 95. This is the ramp onto 95. You see that? So that'll give you a better picture. So what I'm picking up so far from this house is the shape, the condition of the house is not terrible. Meaning, I mean, I bought a lot worse properties than this. It's not like a fire damage. It's not a flood damage. There's nothing like colossally wrong or, oh my God, this is terrible, right? I wouldn't call it a full renovation, okay? But the house does need to be renovated. What I can tell you is that I see an aluminum roof here, or a metal roof, and that looks to be brand new. So that's awesome because these roofs have like a 50-year lifespan, so that's one less thing, okay? There's obviously additions to this house. How do I know that? Because of the aerial. You see, the original part of the house is here. This flat roof, builders don't build like that, guys. Builders build all the same, right? It's very rare that you have a builder that's going to build an addition with a flat roof. This is an outdoor patio area. I don't really know what the heck this is. This is some storage. And then you have a bedroom. If I had to assume, this is probably that master suite that we saw. And then this probably was a porch at one point, and they extended it out. Hence, why it's so goddamn close to the pool. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. Great. Let's keep going through the pictures. That is indeed the master bedroom right here. This was all an addition. I'll bet my life on it. I'll bet my life on it that this was not part of the original house. This was the original house. This was not, this was not, this was not, this was not. That's why it's so close to the pool. Because there's code, there's regulations that the pool has to be so far from the house. All right, let's keep going. It's a great area. There's your kitchen, right? It's pretty decent. Okay, so we already saw all these. Cool. So guys, we agree the condition is pretty solid, right? It is pending, right? It's been 503 days on market. Jesus Christ and Hail Mary on that one. That is a long time, okay? So there's a utility lien here for $1,500. That's BS, right? We could take care of that. That's no problem. It's not a big deal. Now this is the big kicker, the tax government lien. So here's the lien. I don't know if it gives you the amount, but definitely shoots. I mean, it shouts at you right there, like, oh shit, here we go. So, all right, cool. This is your tax lien. So again, where would this property have been? This property would have been on a lien and violation list, high equity as well, okay, owner occupied as well. That's where this deal would have popped up. An IRS lien list, if you know how to pull that, or if you have a retailer or a vendor that gives you that kind of data, that's where this deal would have been, okay? There's really no other place. There's no probate. There's no divorce, there's no like eviction, nothing like that is going on here, right? So it says here that nestled in, tranquil, blah, 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 blah. I like to read the description, right? It says it's a 5-3, okay? This is a 5-bed, 3-bath home. Well, let's go to property appraiser and see what the legal says. Legal says it's a 4-bed, 2-bath. Guys, if you're not from South Florida, if you're not from Miami, this is called, I like to call these a Hialeah special or a Miami special. This is very common, okay? People in South Florida, especially Miami, they just like to add shit to their home, okay? They like to take 3-bed, 1-baths, make them 4-bed, 2-baths, right? Illegally, 99% of the time. So this is not uncommon. However, this poses a problem on this deal, and I'll tell you why. Again, this is specific to Miami-Dade, but there's other counties that have it too. See the folio number here. This is why you got to be sharp and know what you're doing. Folio number 07 is the number that it starts with. Why the hell is that important? Because 07 is North Miami Beach. Why is that important? Because it has reoccupancy. What the hell is reoccupancy? Well, yes, there are some municipalities, it's not just in Florida, but South Florida specific, There are some municipalities like Hialeah, Miami Gardens, North Miami Beach, right, that have such a thing called reoccupancy. What that means is that if the legal description that the county has and the permitting department for the beds and bath, 3-bed, 2-bath, whatever, or in this case 4-bed, 2-bath, does not match what's in the house, wink wink, it's a 5-bed, 3-bath, we know illegally 5-bed, 3-bath, but a legal 4-2, you will fail the inspection that the city is going to come out and do. Does that make sense to everybody? So in other words, this house was a legal 4-bed, 2-bath. They illegally converted it into a 5-bed, 3-bath. There is a reoccupancy certificate. That will not pass the reoccupancy, which is another main reason that a finance buyer or a conventional buyer did not get financing for this house, apart from the $1.3, $1.2 million IRS tax lien. Does that make sense to everybody? So again, a lot of wholesalers and stuff like that are running through these deals. They have no idea what they're looking at, and they don't take the time to do this kind of underwriting. Obviously, this would have taken me 5 minutes. I'm slowing it down for you guys for the sake of the education. You're obviously going really detailed in here. But these are the things you guys got to know, right? Like, look at 95. You see how close it is? Cool. All right, so what are we going to do next? Okay. Well, the next thing I want to see is who was the last person on title, meaning am I speaking to the right people? What was the last deed? So right here, you have a warranty deed from 2006. That was the last time this property transferred hands. And remember guys, on a deed, the grantor is the seller, the grantee is the buyer, okay? So, who is the grantee? The grantee of this house today, the owner, is Raquel Rodriguez and Maurice Rodriguez, her husband. This is a couple, married wife. Now, just a really, really, really good point to make here. Can you get a contract signed by the husband and not the wife? Or a deed signed by the husband and not the wife if they're both on title and they're married? Well, I'll give you the answer. No. Okay. You cannot partition or buy partial interest in any property where there's a husband and wife. If they're still legally married, that's why marriage is so sacred, and you got to be careful, guys, is because they're treated as one. So no, you cannot buy a partial interest. So people ask me all the time, they're like, oh, the husband wants to sell, but the wife doesn't want to sell. Can I just go buy the husband's interest and sue the wife? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You need to have a divorce, and you have to have an MSA, a marriage settlement agreement, or a divorce decree that the judge says who gets what, and based on that, that's who gets what. Again, guys blow over this stuff all the time. Then they ride the emotional roller coaster, right? They go get the wife signed. They submit the contract to the title company. They go through this whole thing. And then 3 weeks later, they're like, oh my God, what do you mean? Oh no. And they ride this emotional roller coaster, all because they didn't do the work up front. So Robinson's saying, this deal came from an SMS campaign, by the way. Contacted seller on Monday, signed deed by Friday. My man, there you go. So Robinson, you still wholesale, right? Correct? And you know, what kind of list? I mean, what list were you building? Was it just a lien and violation list that you texted here? Because that's freaking awesome, bro. Congratulations, number one. Robinson has been in the community for a while, and we've worked together before. He used to be a wholesale coaching student of mine, and he's crushing it. I think you're doing mostly Tampa, you said, right? But sometimes you do some deals down here in South Florida. So yeah, look at that, guys. He got it. He sent out a marketing campaign on Monday. By Friday, he literally has a deed signed. And again, I love transparency because, you know, a lot of people show a lot of stuff, and then you got to be careful, right? So here's the link to the Google Drive. Here it is. $100 up front, $15,000 on the back end. What did I say? That's exactly what I said. Cool. You need something as consideration. Here's your seller signing, notarized, limited power of attorney. Okay, goes to Robinson Bautista. So he's the POA. You always have to be an individual. A POA can never be in an LLC, by the way. Okay, let's keep going. Receipt of consideration. So she received the amount, and then there's a future payment of $15,000. This is how we structure these deals on the front end and the back end. Here's the contract for deed. They're getting $100 up front. You need some kind of consideration within 2 to 4 business days. And then, boom, $15,000 after the sale successfully closes. We sell it, right? After we wipe out the IRS lien and we do all that. And then, of course, here's the money shot, right? This is your quick claim deed. This is the money shot for Robinson. All right, so here's the seller, Raquel Maurice. Bing, bing, bam. Reverse flip as a trustee of the land trust. We're JVing with Robinson. Here you go. Boom, boom. There's the seller sign. And here's the acknowledgement. There's the disclosure form we have. All these forms are in our community, by the way. So, guys, this is a real deal. He got it, and it's dated. What's this dated? This is dated January 16th. Today's January 17th. All right, so this is fresh off the press. This isn't a deal from 2019, okay? So, the deal gave, hi Willie, I've seen in the MLS properties sold in Miami Gardens that do not have the reoccupancy requirement that have been sold with some more bed and bath count that's shown in the property appraisal. Yeah, so they sell all the time. I mean, cash buyers can buy them all the time. They do what's called a hold harmless. We sell them all the time. However, when you do go to a conventional buyer, one of the requirements is going to be the reoccupancy certificate for a conventional buyer. But yeah, you can sell this to a cash buyer all day long, and you can waive the reoccupancy. Now, when you go to resell it, or the fix and flipper goes to resell it, or the landlord, buy and holder, buys it and wants to refi as a rental, you're going to have an issue and you're going to need that reoccupancy certificate. I guarantee you that. But yes, Miami Gardens is one of those areas. Yes, sir. Vacant, absentee, tax delinquent list. Great. Go. So let's just check something now, because now I'm curious. Let me see. Property taxes. Here we go. So she's probably delinquent 1 year because it just came out in November. She does have a mortgage on the property. Like I said at the beginning, it's $440. Oh, she just pulled them. She just paid them. So that makes sense. She was probably on your list beforehand. All right, so let's keep going down. Let's keep going deep into this deal, okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to check what the heck the value is of this property, all right? So I'm going to go single family. I'm just going to use the MLS for this and run some quick comps. You could do your comps on Zillow if you want. Also, I would use RealFlow, which is our app. We're coming out next week. It's going to launch. We're coming out with our own custom version of RealFlow. All right, so here's your comps right here. So you can also grab them here. And we're going to do, actually, I want distance closest. So here's one right here. This is a 5.2, 849,999. Is it 1964 build? Closed in September. Square footage is smaller than ours. Ours is 2,300 square feet. But I bet you that it's not facing the highway. So let's see where it is. It is not. So like I said, right, that obsolescence is gonna ding it. This is a beautiful comp because it's the house right across the street from us with a pool, right? This is an above ground pool actually, guys, by the way. You can see that they built a deck, and this looks like a real pool, but it's actually an above ground pool, okay? So here's the deal. This house sold for $850, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, $850, a 5-bed, 2-bath. We have a 5.3, 2,300 square feet. So ours is bigger, but we cannot expect $850. Why? Because we are here on the highway, and this is not on the highway. Okay, so he is gonna pull a little bit more. How much more? Maybe 50 grand, maybe 70 grand. I'm not sure, depending on how hot the market is in that time. Okay, so let's keep going through the comps. Are most of the probate deals that you do in Florida have wills, or are they intestate? It's a great question. So I would say a lot of the times they don't have wills. They're intestate. My man Nick 6370 brings up a great point. I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but in probates, there's two types of I guess wills or non-wills, right? There's really testate, which is Latin for testament. It means that it does have a will. Intestate means that there is no will. Okay, so it's a great question. Obviously, I like properties that have a will better because it's very clear, it's very direct on who gets what. You usually have a lot less fighting with that regard because the will is legal. By the way, fun fact for you, in the state of Florida, does the will have to be notarized? No, it doesn't. It only needs 2 witnesses. I've actually done probates, believe it or not, that the will was on a napkin. I'm not kidding you. And it was accepted because it had 2 witnesses. Crazy to me. All right, so here's what I'm going to do, guys. You guys notice that our subject is the red marker, okay? You guys notice, would you agree that this is a very interesting little pocket here? Like, in other words, I see a lot of guys and girls do this too. They'll start running comps, and they'll run comps with all this stuff included. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, yeah, the house is worth $1 million. I'm like, why? Because this one over here sold for $1 million? Not even the same thing. You have major roads that you're going to cross over. So for the purposes of this, thankfully we have enough comps in here. The only comps I'm going to grab is inside of this little area here. All right? That's it. Do not look at any other comps that are outside of this. Why? Because this is a very unique location with one way in, one way out. Half of the houses face the highway, and it's it's north of this major, which is a major road, Miami Gardens Boulevard, or Northeast 185th. So do not grab anything outside of this. Like, none of this stuff counts. I don't care who. And if somebody was trying to sell you this and say, look, man, you got a comp right here for $1 million. Please don't. I see fix and flippers get caught in that lie all the time because they don't know how to run their own comps. Cool. So we see ours is pending, right? That's ours. We don't have any closed sales up along the highway. We only have this guy that's active at 1.2 million. So what I like to do is grab the results, and then I like to filter them by most expensive to least expensive, okay, in descending order. So again, I look at closed sales, I look at actives, and I look at pendings. I look at them all. The ones that I put the most weight behind is obviously the closed sales, because those are the only ones that matter. That actually is a price that somebody paid, whether they're cash, conventional, doesn't matter to me. That is the most important comp. The second most important is what is pending. Why? Because I want to see, is the market, hey, 6 months ago things were trading at, let's say 900 grand. Today they're trading at 825. Well, do you have an appreciating or depreciating market? You have a depreciating market, right? Cool. The third one is everything that's active. That is not really important to me. Why? Because any idiot can list a property for whatever price they want. It doesn't mean that they're going to get it, okay? The only reason why it is important to me is so I can see what I'm competing against. Like, for example, if I was going to go and take this property down, which is what Robinson and I are going to do once we clear off the IRS lien, we're just going to slap it right back on the MLS, now without liens, clean. I want to know, well, if I'm going to, I'm making numbers up, but if, for example, hey, I'm going to list this thing at 750, and I got a bunch of listings at 700, 725, 675 that are comparable to mine, is that good or bad? That's bad, right? I'm going to be the highest price. You never want to be the highest price. But if I'm looking right now and we're going to list at 750, I can tell you right now, there's only 856, 899, a million, 1.15, and 1.2 million, and then a pending at 900. So in essence, we should fly at 750 by doing that price. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. So let's start taking a look. Again, remember, our subject property, is a 5'3", I know it says 4'2", but it's really a 5'3", 2,300 square feet, okay? With a pool, very important. And we face the highway. So all of these are pretty solid comps to look at. This has a pool, this has a pool, this has a pool. So you have 850, 850, these are the same houses. I don't know why it came out with a duplicate. 760, so there's a big drop off, and then you have actives. Let's take a look at 850, right? That's the house right across the street that we saw sell. You see how it was in line? You guys see how this is right here? That's the above ground pool. You guys see that? Yeah? Okay. Maybe I'm the only little nerd that pays attention to that. But that's very important to pay attention to. Cool, so let's look through the pictures. It looks like a nice house. Already the driveway is completely different to our house. Our driveway is shit. This is a nice pavered driveway. Windows look really nice. Okay, this is a rehab. Okay, this is a renovated property. I don't know if it's a fix and flipper yet, or if it was a family living in it, but that's a really decent rehab done, right? It looks a lot better than our pictures as we saw ours. Okay, now again, in real time, let's look at our picture. Oh no, come on, Will, what'd you do, man? My bad. All right, let's look at our picture of the kitchen versus 850. This is 850. Okay, this is the kitchen for 850. This is us. Are we inferior to this? Everybody's head should be nodding. Okay, so we cannot get 850 for that simple reason alone. Okay, let's keep going. Here's the bathroom. This is the bathroom on the 850 house. Let's go look at our bathroom. Poopy. In comparison, this versus that. Very big difference. This is hilarious. Get naked. Unless you're just visiting, don't make it weird. That is a really funny shower curtain. People always blow me away. I don't know what this person's collecting, all these little bears, and now I get distracted. This is our second bathroom. Yikes. Okay. Let's keep going. This is 850. Renovated, curtains, closet, new floor, the tile, blah, 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 blah. Second bathroom. See, this is a real bathroom. You see how the sinks are bigger. They're his and hers. This is the master, obviously. The toilet is far away from the sink. The shower is its own shower. You see that? See that difference? Versus, for example, that and the third bathroom. Do you see this, guys? This is the third bathroom in our subject. That's a real bathroom. This is not a real bathroom. Everybody get that? Cool. So we're just looking for value going down here in comparison to ours. Laundry room, new electrical panel, tankless water heater, right? I'm looking at all this stuff. Backyard, super nice. Paved backyard versus our backyard. Massive difference between that and this. Look at the freaking the fascia. I mean, it's all over the place, right? Guys, this is a humongous difference for 850. So sometimes I see people say, oh man, yeah, we could get 850 because I have a comp that's sold. I'm like, this thing does not look like that. Major difference. Okay, let's keep going. Barbecue, I mean, these people, the whole nine, right? You see the pool? The pool has like a step up. That's an above ground pool. Pretty nice little hack. All right, so we can agree that we do not look like the 850 and we're not getting 850. Okay? That's not in the current condition, is what I'm trying to say. And we also can agree that the ARV is not 850 because the 850 comp does not have the highway in the backyard. All right, now let's go look at 760. 3.2, 1,600 square feet. Much smaller than ours. Another thing that I'm looking at when I'm running comps, which I see a lot of people make mistakes on. See, a lot of wholesalers and fix and flippers want to see, and I know because I used to do it back in the day too, right? They try to force comps. They want to see what they want to see. Meaning, they want to force the number that they see. Okay? Two things here. One, there's a massive drop off between 850 and 760. Why? Because this is a much smaller home. This is a 3.2, 1,600 square feet. It does have a real pool. Right here is a kidney pool. Right? But the most important thing I see here is this. 117 days on the market. Okay, DOMs, days on market. Guys, it's very important for you to also look at comps and look at the value, but also look at your days on market. How long is this taking me to sell? Now, I can tell you why the person took 117 days, because they're dumb. They listed at 950, price reduced to 899, and the market said, wah, wah. They ended up paying them $760. So they tried to force, typical realtor, right? Doesn't know what they're doing. They're like, oh yeah, we can get $850. The market, guys, write this down. The market is undefeated. Please, seriously, write that down. The market is always undefeated. Market doesn't lose. Only investors lose. We lose. The market never loses. Why? Because the market is always right. The market will tell you what it is going to sell for. Okay? Because somebody has to buy it. All right, now let's look at the pictures. This is also a very nicely kept property. I wouldn't say this is a fix and flip at all, but this is a very nicely kept property. Nice floors, nice kitchen, cool, great. There's a little wall unit, so this is an efficiency. I can tell they're running electrical right here. That's an illegal addition. It's fine. Look at this bedroom. This is not a real bedroom. Look at how tiny that bedroom is, okay? Not good. Again, these are things that are going to hurt you when you go to sell. These are just things that my eye catches. People wonder why the house is not selling. Dude, you got shit fans on this house. No one wants to walk in and pay you 850 grand, 900 grand, 800 grand for a house that looks like this. You replaced all the ducts, but you didn't replace the fans. You left these $20 Home Depot closets on too, right? So again, look at the rest of the house and then look at this, right? You have this like old ass bathtub bathroom, okay? These properties are just, they don't pay attention. Look at this. This is old Mexican tile on the outside. This is definitely an addition because this is a sliding glass door which should not be leading out to an indoor part of the house. You can tell it's also an addition because it has a wall unit right here for sure. There's no central AC here for a reason. Just this doesn't look good to the naked eye, right? You guys got to be able to see that. This is one of the bathrooms. Okay, so this property now, does everybody see why this property sold for $760? Everybody should see that right now. Everybody should see it and be like, damn, yeah, that makes sense. That's why it took 117 days, right? So when I see property sitting and people are like, man, my rehab's not selling, I'm like, man, and I go and I look at this and I'm like, because you did a half-assed job. Period, right? Nobody wants to hear that, but that's the truth. So let's go look at those are all the close. Now let's go look at the actives. So you have a 4-bed, 3-bath at 1,200 square feet. Let me just stop right there. There is no way that a legal 4-bed, 3-bath has only 1,242 square feet. No way. It would have to be a house out of the Hobbit film or something. Like hobbits are living in here. There's no way that a 4-3 has 1,242 square. Look at the way that they chopped up this house. These bedrooms are ticky tiny. Okay? No. Original condition. Needs some work. It looks ugly. Again, guys, I'm just calling it like it is. The walls are busted up. They're not painted. The kitchen looks rough. The bedrooms, look at the walls. They have no floorboards. I mean, these walls are destroyed. Look, and one of the bedrooms has a wall unit, not even central AC. Do you guys see that? Look, this is a fake bathroom too, for sure. Toilet's right next to a wall. They added a little wall here and they made a shower. The cabinets are all beat up, right? The bricks are all beat up. Look, they're peeling the wallpaper or whatever that is. Look at these old ass mirrors. Look at the bottom of the bathtub. Look at the bottom of the bathtub. There's mold and rust. And look, there's a roof leak clearly right here, right? Guys, I'm paying attention to all this stuff. The countertop is cracked, okay? A lot of people want to make money. They don't like to pay attention to it. This is not a real bedroom. Why is this not a real bed? That's not a real closet. So I could tell somebody added it and put an IKEA closet there. That makes sense? Buyers notice this too. This is also a fake bathroom. There's no way that they put a toilet right in front of a freaking cabinet. There's an old ass window too that clearly is blacked out. Okay? You notice this is not a 4-3, 1,200 square feet. There's no